Welcome to The Debate. Today, we are examining the complex internal crisis currently facing the Mana Andhra Telugu Association, or, MATA, as it's better known.
Right, MATA.
It's this vital cultural platform that connects the Telugu community in Auckland, New Zealand. They do events, shared initiatives, and they celebrate a collective heritage. But right now, it is entirely paralyzed by a leadership dispute.
Yeah, it's a situation that has completely consumed the organization, really following a breakdown in leadership transitions post-2023. We are looking at a scenario where a beloved cultural cornerstone has just fractured into competing factions.
Which brings us to the central question of today's discussion. When a community organization suffers a severe systemic breakdown in leadership, is formal legal action and a fresh election the necessary path to enforce accountability? Or alternatively, should internal dialogue be prioritized at all costs to protect the community's unity and public trust?
It's a question that really cuts to the core of how diasporic communities govern themselves in Aotearoa. And it's grounded in the ongoing, highly public High Court disputes surrounding MATA Auckland's future.
Right, so I argue that formal legal intervention and a fresh, transparent election are the necessary, objective mechanisms to resolve asset disputes and enforce accountability when an organization's governance structures collapse.
And I argue that escalating these internal disputes to the High Court and forcing public elections irreparably damages community unity, proving that internal dialogue must be prioritized above all else to preserve the trust these organizations fundamentally rely on.
To truly understand what MATA is experiencing, I think we have to look past the interpersonal friction. We need to examine the mechanics of governance here. This dispute is fundamentally about unclear bylaws and a systemic breakdown following those leadership transitions after 2023. We aren't just talking about, hurt feelings or differing visions for a cultural festival.
No, it's much bigger than that.
Exactly. We have concrete evidence of a total operational collapse. Multiple groups are actively claiming legal authority over the organization. And the result? It's a fierce battle over critical assets. Bank accounts are frozen.
Right.
Email systems are locked. And social media platforms have literally become contested territory.
It is the absolute definition of an organizational stress test.
Precisely. And when basic operational control is contested to this degree, when you do not even know who holds the password to communicate with your own community, internal dialogue has already failed. You cannot talk your way out of a frozen bank account.
Well,
Therefore, the High Court's current involvement, which emphasizes strict transparency and legal fairness, alongside a proposed re-election, are the only rigorous ways to establish legitimate authority. You just need an external arbiter to step in and restore the operational reality.
but we cannot lose sight of what MATA actually is. It is not a hedge fund. It is not merely an administrative or corporate entity. It is a cultural cornerstone.
Sure, but it has administrative needs.
Of course, but its entire purpose, its sole reason for existing, is to bring people together and foster a shared Telugu identity. The moment these disagreements escalated into a formalized battle over assets, the issue shifted. It went from a private internal administrative hurdle into a massive public credibility crisis. Taking your own community to the High Court in Auckland inherently damages the underlying social fabric of the group.
But that social fabric...
Let me just finish this thought because it's crucial to understanding the fallout here. Adversarial legal systems are designed to pit people against each other. They demand that you frame your neighbor as an opponent.
That's the nature of litigation, yes.
Right, which is why internal dialogue, mediation, and cultural conciliation should have been exhausted and prioritized above all else. Because if an organization legally wins a dispute but is culturally divided, it is a functional failure. What good is gaining legal control over the bank accounts and the email lists if the community itself is so alienated by the litigation process that they no longer want to participate?
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective on how these entities actually function. Think of an organization's bylaws and governance structures like a cultural operating system.